Fantasy Football Fools? The Ryan and Jacob Show is back with your Week 2 recap. The season is well underway now. The juices are flowing. We got teams that are 0-4. We got a couple that are, or maybe one or two that are 4-0. People are starting to get a little nervous. How you feeling coming out of Week 2? Just a quick little recap.
Oh, I'm feeling great. You know that firsthand.
Yeah, I got Stephon Diggs last night, but I was mad at first, but then he scored like 3 touchdowns, and I lost by like 20 with 119. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. That's fantasy football for you. But without further ado, we are going to get into our first couple mini games of the season. Since we didn't do one last week, we're going to do Week 1 and Week 2. So we have the names laid out here. Of who won each category in Week 1, who won each category Week 2. We're going to random number generate to see who wins each week. And with that, I will pass it over to you to get us some numbers rolling. And I got 3 names on the board in Week 2. If I don't win one, this shit's rigged.
All right, yeah. And so your number has to show up twice. We do kind of like a best 2 out of 3, and the numbers are to your left, so 2 through 13. So yeah, let's get it going and let's see what the first number is.
Number 10.
6.
10 and 6. 10, 6, 11. Whoa, 10, 6, 11, 9. We got a lot of numbers popping up here. Oh, throw 13. 10.
So Nick won Week 1. We'll just kind of be sure that we know Nick's wins that. So 10
Can
is
you give the guy a highlight? I mean, geez Louise, what do you do? Excel professionally? You can't even figure out how to highlight a cell?
All right, there we go.
What do you see? You got Johnny's name highlighted now.
I have I was half screen.
I can't do it with the condensed screen.
No, I can't. All right. So then let's do Week 2.
All right.
10 is the non-existent. So if we get 10 again, just one more. Yeah. So here's Week 2.
You got to make it. Are we going to do 2 through 12?
Yeah. Let's just get out 10. So if it's 10, just pretend you ignore it for this one. And then next week will be different. So.
All right. Here we go. 5.
10.
Nothing.
5, 8.
5 and 8. 5, 8, 7. 5, 8, 7, 12. Hey, that's 12. 5, 6.
5, 6, 7, 8, 12. 3, 6, 7, 8, 12.
3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. 6.
6. So really.
God damn it. Come on, man. I had 3.
So you guys are proud owners of $10 for the week's mini game. We will do this every week for the first 12 weeks, I think we have. So it's 120 in total. So the last 2 weeks we won't do it. So you guys won $10 each. Congratulations. We can go now to the weekly matchups for Week 2. And we can start off at probably the highest scoring game, combined game that is, this week. And it was me versus Ryan. Very good matchup. How do you feel?
I'm sick, but like I said, I was real sad after that second touchdown that Diggs got last night. But once he got the third one, I was just like, well, whatever. Like, you beat me by almost 20 points, and I had 119. So, you know what? I can't be too mad. I mean, losing with a 119 in general. I mean, you can't really. There's not a lot you can do about that. That's a pretty modest score. So you know what? Kudos to you putting up a 131. I said I wanted this to be high scoring. It was. It's too bad. And I put up 119 with a 1 out of my RB2 spot. Like, that's so crazy. Like, I just could not. I don't think I was meant to win this game.
Yeah, I thought the game was over after the T. Higgins late touchdown. I was like, oh, that's a dagger. But Aaron Rodgers put a okay 16. He had like 15 at halftime. And then he got only 1 point the second half. They went really run heavy. So after that, I was like, oh, Diggs is going to have a monster game. And I mean, look what he did. He did have a monster game, 3 touchdowns. And I put up 131 with Juju at 2.5. So we both had some bad starts. I had Brees Hall, who I could have played instead of Juju with the flex switch, get a touchdown. You had Tony Pollard kind of go off on your bench. So we had some bad plays, and I had the Buccaneers, but I really wasn't even thinking about playing the Buccaneers. I like the 49ers against the Seahawks matchup, so I wasn't too worried about that. But some matchups that we could have played that got a higher score. But, yeah, I mean, Christian Kirk, I said this in the group chat that I thought he had a pretty quiet 22, and I think he was pretty much the main guy who won me the game. I was going to start him no matter what. I just had him in the flex spot, but he had a good, quiet, big game, and I hope he continues because he's actually had a lot of receptions for that Jacksonville Jaguars team. So good game to Ryan. He did get the win on the average, so he is 1-3, I believe, and I'm 2-2. So we're sitting okay. I mean, you don't want to go 0-4. 0-4 is a very big hole, but Ryan got at least the average win, so he's got to feel okay about that.
I really wanted that win, man. Coming out of Thursday, seeing Juju drop a 2.5, I was feeling pretty good. Gerald Everett got a 10. Like, I don't know. That's a tough one to eat, but like I said, kudos to you. That's a great score. And fantasy fucks me once again. What's new? Let's get into someone else's matchup. What do you think about Chewy versus Johnny here?
Yeah, so Chewy is one of our 0-4 teams, and Johnny is 3-1 because he did not beat the average. But Chewy contacted me this morning asking for everyone's phone number. So if you need everyone's phone number, I have a picture of everyone's phone number in Excel. Then you might be getting a text from Chewy because he said he needs some help. And, yeah, starting 0-4, that's going to do it to you. Justin Herbert gets hurt, but he plays the whole game. It's going to be interesting to see where Justin Herbert goes through next week and the week after with those hurt ribs. But you know what really surprising was Austin Eckler. He got a lot of garbage time catches and yards, but it doesn't seem like he's being utilized as he once was like a year ago or 2 years ago. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I definitely agree with that. But I think it was either the offseason or beginning of the season. I'm pretty sure Austin Eckler said that he didn't want to be used quite as much. I think like he knows his value. He doesn't want to get overworked and end up getting hurt. I think he has had some pretty bad injury history in the past. I don't know if he's played a full season in a while. That could be totally wrong. But nonetheless, also, like you said, Justin Herbert being hurt now too. And I think we talked about it after the draft that having a QB and a running back from the same team isn't like – it's not what your ideal situation is. He happens to have two guys from a very explosive offense, so I think it may work out in the end if they stay healthy. But, yeah, Austin Eckler through 2 weeks, not looking super impressive.
Yeah, and his wide receivers didn't do too bad, but again, I think I said this earlier that it's just the scare factors with DJ Moore and Deontay Johnson just aren't there because of their quarterbacks. And then getting a 1 combined with your defense and your kicker, just not a great week by Chewy. Not the worst ever week we've seen, but we've always said you got to score 100 and have PPR to at least have a chance, and 95 just won't cut it most weeks. But moving on to Johnny, he didn't have too much of a better week. He did get the 103.7, so above 100, but the defense really carried him, and the kicker. So 35 points between those two really carried this team. How do you think Johnny did? Or how would you be feeling if you were Johnny here?
I want to quickly rewind back to your last statement that 95 usually won't get you a win unless you're playing Lubasi. All right, back to Johnny's team. I think Johnny's team is looking pretty decent. I think he's definitely put up over 100 both weeks. Not huge scores, but he's getting dubs. He beat me last week by not very many. That was a tough loss. Man, 2 tough losses in a row for me. But no, I think Johnny's team definitely has some potential here. Even with Debo didn't put up that much. Marquise Brown didn't do that much. Dawson Knox at least got some points this week. Devin Singletary didn't look super great because the Bills were just air raid attacking last night and just they couldn't be stopped through the air, so why run the ball? But I think Johnny's team definitely has a lot of potential. Patty Mahomes, Dalvin Cook. I mean, they have fairly low scores from what they're used to, but I think this team's still pretty solid right now. Definitely better than the team across from him right now.
Yeah, he's got a lot of Bills people, just these 3 right here, but it's like the 2 Bills offensive weapons that I would not want on my team because they just don't get that many catches and receptions and carries for having such a explosive offense. This is the two guys I would not like to watch when I'm watching the Bills.
Yeah, so far I think through the first 2 weeks, the Bills have just been coming fast and coming hard, and it's been all Josh Allen and receivers. So yeah, I don't know. It's not great, but it's not terrible, and I still think Johnny has a solid core around those guys.
Yeah, and speaking of Josh Allen, I mean, here he is with Nick's win against James. Another 4-0 team with the newcomer Nick and Josh Allen. Big reason why, 30 points. He did get them in the beginning of the second round or end of the second round. Middle of the second round. But a 31 and a 29, combined 60 points throughout 2 games. He's well worth the price tag right now. And then just solid performances by his running backs who didn't put up big numbers, but, I think found the end zone. I think Clyde found the end zone. Or maybe he didn't. No, he didn't, but he just had a couple good catches. He had 4 receptions, 44 yards.
Clyde looks good.
Yeah, Clyde looks good with that offense. The wide receivers are a little scary. Alan Lazard got only 2 catches, but he did catch a touchdown. Chase didn't do much. And then A.J. Brown, I think he was in concussion protocol for a little bit of that game. I don't know how long, but 9.4, not the best for your wide receiver one, but it's all right. But Kamara was hurt. Keenan Allen was there. So he had a lot of injuries. So that was a pretty good win for Nick, coming with his 2 best guys. Well, best running back and best wide receiver and injured.
Yeah, and to still put up 111, that's pretty good. I mean, it was very heavily weighted by the top of this lineup, and his kicker down there with a quiet 17, Graham Gano, who actually we just calculated got the longest field goal of last week. So congrats to Nick on that win. James's team over here, Nick Chubb with a 30 ball. I mean, if Nick Chubb doesn't put up 30, this is a possible panic button week right now for James. What do you think about that? I mean, I know Jerry Jeudy went down early, but what do you think about this team?
Yeah, and Trey Lance broke his ankle. And I think James Conner only played half the game because he got
James Conner is also hurt. Trey Lance hurt. Yeah. Man, if I'm James right now, I'm a little bit concerned. And if 95 is not going to cut it, 90 is not going to cut it. And like I said, without that 30 from Nick Chubb, this might be like a 70 ball. He might be down there with Lubasi.
Yeah, because you got Kittle injured as well, who hasn't played a snap this year. Yeah, his injury bug really is hurting him, and it's going to be interesting to see how many people are going to play next week. They're saying James Conner might miss a week or 2. I don't know about Jerry Jeudy, and Trey Lance is out for the year, so he's going to have to pick up a quarterback because he has no other quarterback on his roster.
Trevor Lawrence is available, James.
Trevor Lawrence is available. But, yeah, Jamar Chase, I mean, we watched that whole Bengals game, me and you and I, and that Bengals offense looked very lost. They did not take any shots down the field, and that's Jamar's specialty, is getting those big catches, big touchdown catches, and you just didn't see that last week. So, I don't know. James is definitely trending downward just because of injuries, but, I'd probably panic if I was him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't know how much stock we have in Trayvon Diggs, but I don't know if that's an excuse for Jamar Chase to be as quiet as he was on Sunday. And I mean, T. Higgins wasn't there in week 1 when Jamar Chase had a pretty good week. T. Higgins comes back week 2, and he kind of, I don't know, maybe biased opinion because he's on my team, but he kind of looked like the favorite target.
Yeah, because he was targeted 16 times without T. Higgins and only 9 times when he was there. So, but I mean, that Cowboys front 7 is very good. That Micah Parsons is a bull rusher. That dude is a tank.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, Joe Burrow had almost no time to throw. It's hard to develop down the field passing when you have like 3 seconds in the pocket.
Right, and like I said, Jamar's specialty is getting open downfield using his speed, and it just wasn't working. So, all right, well, we'll go into the next game. Biggest blowout of the day.
Embarrassing. This is.
I'll let you talk about Lubasi's team because you're throwing jabs at him already. So, how do you think Lubasi's doing, and how is his outlook for the rest of the season?
Listen, man, me and Lubasi have, for whatever reason, just an internal rivalry in fantasy football, and I am going to take the opportunity or seize the opportunity when his team is ass to let him know it. I mean, just an abysmal performance. I think Lubasi had less than 20 points until the 4 o'clock games. That might not be perfectly accurate, but this dude was floating around like teens for a while, I feel like. The Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton stack, I still think actually does have good potential, but man, that Broncos offense just looks rough. I mean, they barely got by with a win against the Texans. They got beat by the Seahawks in week 1, which was embarrassing also. I mean, I don't know about that Broncos offense, but if Lubasi wants his team to succeed, he's going to need that stack to pick it up. Najee Harris, pretty average week. I think 11, double digits anywhere. You're happy with it, but you don't love it. Miles Sanders has looked pretty good this year. He's probably happy with a 10 from him. And then his wide receiver 2, his tight end, his defense, his kicker. Just rough weeks, man. And he's got CeeDee Lamb with Cooper Rush throwing to him. This Lubasi, kind of like James, Lubasi might be getting close to hitting that panic button. So watch your phones for some potential hot trades coming from Lubasi this week.
Yeah, I think my biggest worry if I'm Lubasi, I don't know if it's the biggest worry, but TJ Hawkinson, the Lions have scored maybe this is a little bit more, but they scored 75 points in 2 games, and this guy hasn't reached double digits. He hasn't even broke 6. So that's pretty concerning. I mean, you didn't spend too much draft capital on him, 7th round, middle tight end. So it's you got Zach Ertz down here. When do you kind of pull that button? Because DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out for the next 4 games, so he might have a little bit more target share for the next 4 days or 4 games. So I don't know. TJ Hawkinson has not looked great, especially with that Detroit Lions offense looking good. I don't know when you pull him from your starting rotation, but that's probably my biggest letdown, I guess, of his team. But his team has been bad.
Yeah,
you've done pretty much all the work on saying how bad his team was. So I just wanted to point out TJ Hawkinson. But going to Rudy's team, this team is very good.
Dude, this has got to be the biggest surprise of the season coming out of the draft.
Yeah, and Jalen Waddle, I didn't like him, and he has gotten, I think, about 50 points in the last 2 weeks. 50 points. So he's doing well. That Dolphins offense is really good. They do play the Bills this week, so this is probably the truther for this Dolphins offense to see how well they can do against the best team in the NFL, in my opinion. But yeah, Michael Thomas was a good get in the 9th or 10th round, but his RB2, just like yours, is very weak. Oh, the 6th round. He actually went earlier than I thought. Cam Akers did very well. He got most of the touches, I think, in that game. So I don't know if he's looking for a wide receiver or a running back too. He's got the tight ends. He's got that's about it. He's got the tight ends. Darnell Mooney's been pretty disappointing. But
not a deep team.
Michael Thomas. Yeah, this is not a deep team. I was just kind of looking at that. I was like, I thought he had another really good wide receiver on the bench, but he does not. So yeah, I don't know if he can do trades. I mean, he's got 2 tight ends, but I don't know who he would put in the flex. I mean, your tight end flex is really good. Travis Kelce didn't have a great game, but Jalen Hurts, very good. If the Eagles can keep this up, this might be the steal of the draft, 7th round. He went in front of a lot of quarterbacks. So I don't know. Rudy's team is looking really good, and we'll see how he does. This is without Jonathan Taylor putting up a big game too, only 7 points. So 133 without Jonathan Taylor.
He might have dropped 150.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and I want to point out too, I said it when we talked on the last pod because Travis Kelce had already played, but I said, for this stack to pay off, you got to have one of these guys go off every week. And so far, it's been flip-flopped. Week 1, Travis Kelce went off. Week 2, Mark Andrews goes off. So far, I think this strategy is actually paying off. And like you said, a couple of his other pieces were some pretty good gets in the draft. I think Rudy's has a team to be reckoned with right now. And I think he's on one hell of a revenge tour because he's just been getting shit on for the last 6 seasons of having bad teams. So good for Rudy. This team looks really good right now.
Yeah, and it's, like you said, not deep team, but if he can stay healthy, which is hard to do, that is a very scary team. So we will go to Chris and Jeff's team, which was a really close game. Both actually beat the average. Jeff beat the average by less than 1 point. So he still has the team name as that, so I'm going to let you delve into his team again.
Yeah, I think he needs to change that team name because his team is okay. But yeah, I mean, Jeff has a pretty decent week here. Can't pull out the win. 107, a loss with a 107. Yeah, that's kind of the territory of like it could really go either way. But Chris had a good week with 113. But Jeff's team, I mean, Aaron Jones went off. Without that, Jeff's has a pretty brutal week. I think that was a Sunday night game. Throughout all of Sunday, I was looking at this team and thinking, wow, he kind of skid after week one. He had a pretty good week one. But yeah, I don't know. This team doesn't jump out of me as super scary. I mean, Justin Jefferson had a pretty slow night last night. They were just getting bamboozled by the Eagles. Kirk Cousins looked like primetime dog shit. And so yeah, I don't know, man. This team just doesn't really scare me. I don't know. I mean, Michael Pittman's hurt, so there's an injury there with the wide receivers. But even with that, I don't know. What do you think of this? Because I'm not scared of Jeff's team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I played Jeff last week, and if you remember, we talked about this on the podcast. He had like 2 or 3 people go like nutty. Like Justin Jefferson got a 35, Michael Pittman got like a 25, but all the rest of his teams were like low tens, low double digits, high single digits. Like his team really didn't do that well as a team. He just had a couple star showings. So I don't know. Jeff's team is a little weird. Michael Pittman would have probably won this game for him. He lost by 6 points. I think Michael Pittman can get 12 points for him. So I don't know. Jeff, I still like Jeff's team. I think that receiving core is just nasty. Aaron Jones, if he can do that more often, that will really benefit Jeff. I still like Jeff. I think he's still kind of a middle of the road team that I'm going to keep an eye on, but he definitely is having an up and down season, but he is 3-1. So he's going to be happy with that.
Yeah, an up and down season. What does that even mean after 2 weeks? We're still talking with not a lot of data, but yeah, I don't know. After seeing this performance of what this could look like, I mean, like I said, if Aaron Jones doesn't go off, that's a tough week. So yeah, I don't know. Jeff's team's not scaring me right now, but we'll see if he can prove me wrong. What do you think about Chris's team over here?
Yeah, so I got Chris this week. He's one of the 4-0 teams. I think he's one of the 3 4-0 teams in the league. Yeah, running backs didn't do all that too hot. I mean, 14 and 10 aren't bad scores for running backs, but he definitely wants more from his 2-star running backs. But the guy who won the league or won the game for him is Tyreek Hill. He had 2 really big late touchdowns, fourth quarter touchdowns for them.
He is 4-0, by the way.
Yes, and then Justin Fields, low or single digits. I wonder when he's going to pull the plug on this quarterback. He has Carson Wentz, who actually had two really good games.
Because they're always playing from behind and have to throw for the whole second half.
So he scored 27 each game. So I wonder if he's going to start Wentz instead of Fields this week against me. I know Fields is against the Texans, so not a bad defense, but not a great defense either. But I think the most disappointing thing about Chris's team is Kyle Pitts. He's gotten below 5, I think, on both his games. Yeah, 2.9 each game. And he's, 5th round pick. You really need him to get going. But this week you didn't need him. Tyreek Hill, like I said, was the reason he won. Allen Robinson looked better. I have him in my other league, but he still isn't getting as many targets. He did get a touchdown to make that score a little bit better. But I don't know. Chris's team is probably, and this probably will bite me in the ass because I play him this week, but I feel like he's one of the weaker, or he is the weakest 4-0 team in the league right now.
Man, I don't know. See, I look at that a little bit differently because this dude's dropping good scores, and his running back duo, that's insane, really hasn't done much. And I don't know. I guess I'm on the middle road because it's like either one way, maybe this is how it's going to be all year. I mean, Saquon had a great week 1. Christian McCaffrey's just been real average this year. So I don't know. Like I'm kind of leaning one way. Like if those running backs fall into like what they're usually like producing, and they're not getting hurt, which is crazy. We're through 2 weeks and neither of those guys are hurt. That's maybe the story of the season. But like one way they maybe are regressing a little bit from what we're used to, or the other way they're just starting slow. And if that running back duo picks up, he replaces his quarterback. I mean, I think this team looks pretty scary because the other guys, I mean, Tyreek Hill is going to produce. Allen Robinson finally picked it up in week 2. Antonio Gibson's been having like a pretty good season, all things considered. So I don't know. I'm a little bit more up on Chris's team right now, assuming that those running backs can get back to what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, and if you get more touches to Christian or Saquon, I mean, just the higher the risk is. But I think I read today that Saquon was like 90% of the snaps the Giants have. So I mean, that's their featured back, and Christian McCaffrey is going to probably be on the field 90% of the snaps too. So his running backs are always on the field, which is scary when you face a guy and you want them not to be on the field, and you always see them on the field. So that's always. So I mean, Chris has got a good team. Don't get me wrong, but if you're asking me against Nick's team and Rudy's team, I would think Chris is the weakest out of those three, but I'm not saying he's got a bad team.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying. I just think that team has a lot of potential to look real scary if things fall in his direction.
All right, so we'll go to the last matchup of the week. Jimmy and Dom, who actually both of those guys lost to the average. Jimmy lost by a point, which is kind of sad for him at least. But, I mean, the reason why he lost by a point, I mean, this isn't the reason, but the top two right there, Tom Brady and Leonard Fournette. Fournette hasn't got a touchdown yet, but he did tweet out, just be patient with him. He's going to score here soon. I think that's what he said, something like that. But Tom Brady looked bad week 2 against the Saints. He's not going to have Evans next week, so I wonder how he's going to do next week as well. But his receivers are very good. Well, the top 2 receivers are very good, Cooper Kupp and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm kicking myself I didn't get Brown. I wonder – I really wanted him, but the draft just didn't fall to me with him. He was the 5th-round pick. I probably could have got him with other than like Breece Hall or something. So I'm kind of kicking myself because he was on my draft board, but I just decided to go running backs. But he has looked very sharp, and this is with a 0 to his tight end, so that's probably why he didn't beat the average. He just needed 1 point from his tight end. He got a goose egg. We've seen a lot of goose eggs this year so far. But
tight ends are tough.
He got the win because of his wide receivers, but the team doesn't look great when you look at it. What do you think about Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, judging by this is a rough week. He's lucky that he scraped away, got the dub versus Dom, because Dom had a pretty tough week too. But I mean, outside of the 34 and the 26, like this team just didn't really do anything. And Justin Tucker with a 10, like those are he had 3 double digits. Like that's, I mean, I know it's only 1 week, but yeah, that's tough. You don't like to see that. Yeah, I don't know. Jimmy's team isn't popping out on paper right now, but I think it could pick up. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, I think, are going to continue to split carries, so that's always going to be a downside of A.J. Dillon is if Aaron Jones is having a hell of a game like he was on Sunday night, A.J. Dillon's probably not going to get a whole lot of touches. So that's one thing to be worried about. Adam Thielen hasn't really done a whole lot this year. Even in week 1 when the Vikings were going nuts, I don't think he had that many points. Yeah, 5 point. Yeah, even less than this week. So the flex spot probably a little bit of a concern, but I'm sure he's happy to see Cam Akers on the field. He's got Drake London who's starting to pick up in that Falcons offense too. So he's got a little bit of depth. I think that he could work to make this team a little bit better. But tough week 2 for Jimmy, but he still gets the beat versus Dom. What do you think of Dom's team over here?
Yeah, Dom's team, not a great week. He's gotten a whole 0.8 from his tight end position for both weeks. He got a goose egg last week, and he got a 0.8 this week. So we were kind of making fun of – not making fun of Jeff, but we're questioning Jeff's droppage of Dalton Schultz, and he looks pretty smart after the first week.
He did get hurt. He got hurt, I believe, in that game.
He did get hurt in like the fourth quarter. It was late, but he still wasn't doing well throughout the game. True. But, yeah, Dom's team, I mean, it's worrisome with his running backs. Derrick Henry has not looked like Derrick Henry. He's actually looked not great at all this year. And Zeke, just not great this year as well. Jeff Wilson was a good get, but that was a waiver wire get. But if you look at the people he drafted for his running backs, which I thought was the deepest running back core in the league, you got Zeke, Derrick Henry, who's kind of been a bust the first 2 weeks. Granted, again, it's just 2 weeks. But then you got Chase Edmonds, who hasn't done really that much. And then he has, Madison and Hilliard are kind of just – Elijah Mitchell got hurt the first week. So he's kind of gotten some bad luck. But yeah, Dom's team I thought was the best in the league, and I thought Lubasi's was second best, and they have turned out to be the two worst teams in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have both had a couple of rough weeks, man. And yeah, coming out of Thursday night, we saw Mike Williams drop that 21. It's like, oh man, okay, Dom's gonna get it right this week. I'm sure Jimmy didn't like to see that, but then he just comes out and kind of lays another dud. Kyler Murray kind of at least got him into the upper 90s with that 25, so that's encouraging. But yeah, this is tough. And I would think that Derrick Henry and Zeke probably do better than this moving forward, but I'm also hoping that Tony Pollard takes over the backfield in Dallas. So I don't know. And Pollard looked really good on Sunday. So hopefully that's a little bit of a green flag in my direction to maybe flip those starting roles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no double digits for Henry or Zeke. It's tough. I wasn't high on either of those two, but they're two good running backs that, get the ball. But yeah, I agree. Tony Pollard has looked like the better back in that backfield. And I don't know when Dak's coming back, but
not for a while.
I think they said maybe only 4 weeks.
I was thinking it was like 6 to 8.
That's what they initially thought, but I think they might want him back because they were going to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jerry Jones said Dak might come back earlier than expected. But nonetheless, Dak will be back, and I think he'll make that offense a lot better, especially for Lubasi's team because he's got CD.
Lubasi needs all the help he can get.
Right. So, yeah, just quick, here's the standings. I think this is kind of running a little longer than we'd hope. But points for, we got Rudy, Nick, I'm third, Jeff, all that good stuff. Yeah, see, Chris is in it. Where's Chris on here? Oh, Chris is fifth.
So Lubasi is way down there.
Damn near Rudy got Lubasi's score this week total.
Jesus.
But then we got some unlucky people. Me and you, top of the guns here.
Yeah, I did just get 133 dropped on my head, so that's tough.
Yeah, so I like to look at points for and points against, and this is really what's going to kind of hinder some close when I do the power rankings. Whoever has the most points, I usually just go with them if they have the same record. But, yeah, here's the standings. The actual standings are on the Facebook page with the average, so you should know it's pinned on the top of the page.
All right. Well, I think that is probably enough for a week 2 recap. What do you think?
Yeah, it's getting after 2 weeks, I'm feeling all right. Some people are panicking. I've sent a couple trades out there. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I am. I'm on the fringe of like I'm pretty happy with my team right now, but also I'm 1-3, so don't love that. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm not panic level yet. I got Chewy this week, who hasn't done super well, so hopefully he continues on his streak and I can continue mine. But yeah, I'm excited for week 3. Let's turn this thing around. Week 1, week 2, they're in the past. There's plenty of season left. Nobody panic just yet, all right? Unless you want to panic and send me some good players. James, Trevor Lawrence is available. All right.
And just for sake of the argument, there's 28 games in the regular season, so if you start 0-4, it's not as bad as you're thinking because we always think we only have 14 games, but now we have 28. So you can probably calm down just a little bit. The 0-4 looks a lot worse than what people are thinking.
Yeah. You might finish 24-4. Who knows? Probably not Lubasi. Oh, no, he's 1-3. Damn. All right. Before I say something else stupid. That's a week 2 recap. Hope everybody's having a great season, or at least having fun. That's it for us, and we will catch you guys next week for the week 3 recap.
Peace.